Hey nerds, I will reveal my top 5 moments and honorable mentions from the 7th episode of the Pitt Season 2, starting now. Welcome back to the Nerd Social. I am Colin. A little behind on the coverage, but we'll be caught up by the release of the next episode. Before we start, chapter times are below if you want to skip ahead. And remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Also, please check out our website, thenerdsocial.org, for more reviews and analysis from our contributors. So, episode 7 is titled 1 p.m. It is written by Kirsten Pierre-Geyfman and R. Scott Gemmill, and it's directed by Uta Briesewitz. Spoiler-free logline of this episode is while Dana tends to a SA victim, Abbott helps an officer injured in the field, and Mohan attempts to keep her uninsured patient in the ER. So this 7th episode did not set the highs of an emotional episode 6, but it was still a very compelling episode because much of it educated the viewing audience as to how an emergency room, especially with a nurse that is specifically trained with a very strict protocol, handle SA victims. The episode showed the protocol with very precise detail, care, and compassion from Nurse Dana, and you keep wondering if Catherine Lanassa is going to win another Emmy for her acting brilliance. The return of Dr. Abbott really gives the emergency room a sense of gravitas, stability, and leadership that Dr. Robby, Nurse Dana, and Dr. Al-Hashimi already deliver. It doesn't hurt to have another experienced hand in a very tense working environment like an emergency room. The uninsured patient, Orlando, really speaks to the desperation that a family has when they have no safety net in terms of health insurance, and it highlights the need of why we need a system in the United States where health insurance is a human right and not a privilege. In terms of rating, I would give this 7th episode a 9 out of 10, which is a movie marathon. This series continues to deliver quality excellence in different ways, where it leaves the audience amazed and exhausted at how much the doctors, nurses, and other first responders do for their patients day in and day out. Remember, this is supposed to document just one day in this emergency room, and I cannot even imagine doing this work for years on end, much less just one day. As I reveal my top 5 and honorable mention moments, there are spoilers ahead for the Pitt Season 2, Episode 7, so get ready for that right now. So we start off with my honorable mention number 2, Dr. Santos singing a lullaby to calm the baby. We have seen this baby on and off since the beginning of the season, but as other folks in the ER were handling other priorities, the baby kept wailing, which was disrupting Dr. Santos's work, which is very important because she's been yelled at by Dr. Al-Hashimi several times already. So then she was able to sing a calming song in her native language of Hiligaynon to calm the baby down. Now, I did some Google search on the language Hiligaynon or Ilongo, and it's a language that's spoken by over 9 to 11 million people, primarily in the Western Visayas region of the Philippines. It's just so amazing that they've incorporated this into the show. We have already seen in previous episodes Nurse Perla and Nurse Princess speak Tagalog, which is the standardized national language of the Philippines, to each other. So my first honorable mention goes to Dr. Mohan convincing Orlando, the uninsured patient, to stay in the ER. From my spoiler-free thoughts, you can feel the desperation coming from a man who feels that he needs to get back to work to provide for his family. But he's still very sick because he does not regularly take his insulin shots because he doesn't have the insurance or the money to pay for it. This storyline continues to be truly heartbreaking for me. Hopefully, it educates the viewing audience why health insurance is a human right and not a privilege in the United States. Other countries have figured this out, but we have not. Even with Obamacare, Medicare, and Medicaid is not enough to ensure that everyone's covered under health insurance. We are so resigned to the fact that this is a reality, as the show accurately portrays, but it should not even be this way in the first place. My number 5 moment is the chemistry between Dr. Abbott and Dr. Al-Hashimi. There was a brief exchange between the two because of the commonalities of the both of them sharing their stories as medical personnel serving in the Middle East. I don't know if this is going to be something more than what they just offered, or it's just a mutual respect of each other's vast experiences in the field. My number 4 is the cuts that are on Dr. Santos' thigh. When she had a bathroom break, she went to the restroom and she saw Dr. Javadi there. Javadi was also using the facilities because they've had a couple of hours attending to their patients. At first, I really didn't notice this, but my wife did the very first time, so I had to rewind and watch this again. She explained to me that those cuts are meant as a form of release and not as a form of hurting herself. Those cuts look like they were very old, so we can only speculate what has happened to her before she was a second-year resident and when she had those cuts. Was it when she was a child, or when she was a teenager, or when she was studying in medical school? We don't really know, but it speaks to a lot of the vulnerabilities that Dr. Sata, and she has a very defensive exterior and also very arrogant way of carrying herself. But we've seen, even in the honorable mentions and also in this scene here, some of her vulnerabilities is some of her more sensitive parts to her. So I like the fact that the Pitt really shows the multi-variance of all of the characters that are in the show. My number 3 moment is the shocking truth that we learned about Jackson, who was the college patient being restrained. This is from previous episodes, and he came in a very manic state. So they found out that he had some form of mental illness that was passed down not by his parents, but by his uncle on his father's side. His older sister was not told by her parents, so she was very upset by that and needed a moment while Dr. Javadi here tries to calm her down and speak to her in a very compassionate and caring manner. I think that Javadi really has grown. She is still very inexperienced, but it shows that she is very much a complete package. A lot of the younger doctors, they're all trying to compete with each other about who is the smartest, if it's Ogilvy, if it's Joy Kwan, which we'll talk about in another episode, or is it Dr. Javadi? So they all are trying to compete to find out who the smartest is. Smarts is only one thing, as Dr. Robby pointed out in the previous episodes, is also working as a team. But we also see as an audience, how do these really smart people respond to being more compassionate and caring? We'll see that all throughout this episode and also the next one. My number 2 moment is shutting down all the computers and going analog. So I've already seen the next episode and find out what happens to this cliffhanger. This bears watching because it does extend out along the next episode. And it's very interesting to see how the doctors and nurses will react to this preemptive shutdown to prevent a cyber attack. So I'll talk more about that in the next episode, as how the doctors and nurses, old and young, try to react to the situation. But my number 1 moment, and this was pretty much the dominant storyline of this episode, was Nurse Dana's compassion and care toward the SA victim. The way that this was handled by the show was exceptional. Catherine Lanassa really should win another Emmy because of the performance throughout this episode. Dr. Landa was right when he said in the previous episode to Nurse Emma that Nurse Dana has a very tough exterior, but she is soft and gooey on the inside, and we definitely see this a lot throughout. The care that she brings to this patient reminded me of Olivia Benson from SVU. The care that she brings is almost as though it's transcending the actor who's portraying the character and makes you emotionally attached to the character, making feel like you know who she is on a more personal level. So those are my top 5 moments and honorable mentions from the Pitt Season 2, Episode 7. Tell us what your favorite moments were from this episode by commenting down below. Like, share, and subscribe for more content like this. And we will see you in the next video. All right. Take care, everybody.